Hi everyone, welcome back to the On Track NL2 channel, and today I am doing a video I should have done back when I got my channel back in January, but today I will be analyzing the new for 2019 SNS Air Launch Coaster coming to my home park, Six Flags Great America, and that is Maxx Force. I've previously mentioned this coaster on my channel, but I've never actually gone in depth about it, which is what I will be doing today. In the background you can see the announcement video for this ride. And it's easy to tell that it won't be a very long ride, but it'll be very intense. And I'll get into that later. First, let's watch the full announcement video with audio. So now let's dive into the layout. We start off with this very intense launch. I think that they slowed down this point of view video for purposes of lengthening the video. I'm not sure why, but it does definitely seem slower because they're advertising it as North America's fastest acceleration, with reaching 0 to 78 miles per hour in less than 2 seconds. That is crazy fast. That is faster than a Tesla's acceleration. Um, it's beating out Top Thrill Dragster, King to Cox, Accelerator, all those rides with crazy launches. This is gonna be faster than that. This thing is gonna be absolutely insane. It won't be quite the level of Dodonpa at Fujiku Highland, but it's gonna be intense. And I am personally really looking forward to this element. And I think that it's gonna be more intense than we see in this video because if you count, the launch takes about 3 seconds, while it's supposed to be less than 2. Plus, it seems a little bit slower, and later in the POV, you'll see that the pacing seems a little bit off. But we'll just have to see how it runs in real life after that. Next after that, we had this tiny little bunny hill up into the massive double inversion, which we'll get to that right after this. This little bunny hill, this thing is going to be insane. I know some people are saying, oh, it's too flat to give airtime because it doesn't have a descent, but it's basically a double up. And so I think that there's going to be some solid G-forces on this small little bunny hill. And so in some pictures, in some of the original pictures, it looks really flat, but seeing it in real life just yesterday and the day before, it is definitely there. It'll definitely give some solid airtime. Now we go into this first double inversion. This is 175 feet in the air, and the park is calling it the dog tongue. It looks like a banana roll, but instead of entering one way and exiting the opposite way, you're entering one way and then exiting in a perpendicular direction. This thing looks really fun, and in real life, there is actually drive tires on it, which I assume is going to be for either if the coaster stalls up there, or it's going to be a trim. I'm hoping that it's not a trim, and we'll get to later later we'll get to the discussion of if it'll be a trim or not with the 60-mile-an-hour 0G rule. But I think it'll be for if the train somehow stalls, because even though in the POV it is going through it with a pretty good amount of speed, you never know. It does get really windy at Great America sometimes. There's a reason that Chicago is called a windy city. And so, yeah. Plus, the designer Joe Draves, in an interview, which I'll have linked in the description, it's by Coaster Force, definitely a great channel, go check them out. Joe Draves stated that he didn't want the highest point of the coaster to be upside down. In fact, SNS doesn't like that because in case the coaster stalls there, then they won't have to worry about getting them down in super fast. And so after this dog tongue inversion, we go down to this 60-mile-an-hour 0G roll, and this is something that's pretty convincing evidence that the drive tires at the top of the dog tongue might be trims, because if you notice, this is a pretty low to the ground inversion. But yet it's only at 68 miles an hour. So either you're gonna lose an insane amount of speed on that dog tongue, or that trim's gonna hit and it's gonna go to 60. I don't think that those will be able to trim though, because if you've noticed, the launch is actually in a trench, which is below ground level. And this 60 mile an hour zero G roll, I'd say it's close to about 30 feet off the ground. It's definitely a lot higher off the ground in real life than it seems in the animation. And so I do not think that those drive tires will be trims. And I think that you're going to absolutely fly through this inversion. You're going to whip through this thing so fast. It's going to be absolutely insane. This is one of the elements I am most excited for. Especially passing right over the train. If the train is going by when you go on this thing, that is going to be one of the very nice hand choppers on this ride, which I'll get to later. And then after this, for the final element of the ride, you have this weird double inversion. I don't even know what to call this thing. But you have this insanely snappy zero G roll up into what almost seems to be a wave turn. I'm expecting a little bit of maybe floater airtime on that before being whipped back down and into the brakes. That last double inversion does seem to be fun. The zero G roll seems insanely whippy, and the dive loop seems to pull you down pretty hard as well. Overall, the layout is short, but it really seems to pack a punch. And if you look at some parts, like the train bridge over the launch, and some of the funky support structure choices, you'll notice that there are a lot of hand choppers, especially when it dives down after the dog tongue and passes underneath the double up. That's one of the things I'm looking forward most to in this ride, is the hand choppers. And I don't think that enough people are talking about them, because they seem to be really crazy. Overall, I think that this layout is really strong. It's going to be one of the best layouts in the park. And yes, I do think that this coaster will be the best in the park. But we'll just have to see how it runs. One thing that I personally have had a lot of questions with is what the trains are going to be like for this coaster. We know that they're going to be Formula 1 themed, but the other details are not clear. There have been rumors and confirmation at a Snow Coaster Con that it will run 4 cars, but I am still not sure of this as the station looks fairly short. That's the next thing about the capacity, is the station. In the POV, it's very clear to see that this is a loading and unloading station, where one train unloads while the other one loads, which increases capacity. But seeing this in real life from Skystroke Tower, the station definitely looks way too short to be able to do this. Overall, the trains really have me confused. Also, there have been rumors that it will have 3 trains, but only run 2, like Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa, except that has 4 trains and runs 3. And there have also been rumors that this thing will run 3 trains, which I don't think will happen because I don't think that there is enough blocks. But that's a whole nother discussion with the block section. Alright, and finally we've come to discuss one of my personal favorite parts of this ride, which is the absolutely insane head choppers this thing's going to give. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I counted at least 5 absolutely crazy head choppers throughout this ride. Because you've got that first tunnel that the launch goes through, and then after that, you go up, you have 2 in the dog tongue from the funky support structures, which actually look really cool. Don't hate on them, they're really neat in real life, but that's a side tangent. And after that, probably the best head chopper is after the dog tongue, when you dive down underneath the speed hill. Honestly, when I first saw this, I thought that it would be a clearance issue. But clearly it isn't, as this coaster is being built. But it's going to be absolutely insane to ride it with that. And after that, you go into the zero G roll. And this doesn't have any hand choppers or head choppers, but I think it might if the train's passing underneath it. Finally, you go up into the final double inversion. And when you're diving back down, there's one last head chopper there. Overall, I think the head choppers are going to be really one of the best parts of this ride. And it's just going to be the icing on the cake for this absolutely incredible coaster coming to Great America next year. And to top off this whole video, we have some Maxx Force construction updates. This first video is Maxx Force being topped off, where it reaches its highest point on the double inversion. I have some of my own videos that I took while at the park for opening weekend, and these will be coming up after this video. But for now, enjoy this. Alright, so for those of you hardcore fans like me, they're updating the entrance, and so just so you know, it's about 100 meters away from you for the entrance, so make sure to stretch before you get in here so that you can just absolutely send it to Maxx Force when it opens. Okay, so during American Day, to use some more Maxx Force updates. They are doing some very, very, very loud work on the entrance signs. I believe that they're painting it black because that's how it's in for Maxx Force. So. Alright, so here's the gift shop that you're going to exit through Maxx Force for. And it's kind of hard to see because the grime on the window. But they're doing some nice renovations in here. New flooring, you can see some places that could be hanging clothes on. So, yeah. Guys, we're here at the Raging Bull exit, and they're lifting off the Maxx Force trains. You guys, holy cow, we're here with Evan from Music Insiders as before. We just got a near trimless ride on Raging Bull. Mid-course trims it a little bit, but not the awful trims on the first hill. But the Maxx Force trains getting lifted off. Solid. Alright, yeah. Okay, actually, it might not be a train. I don't know what this is. Yeah, might be. Oh, you know what? Since there's dry tires at the top of Maxx Force, maybe they'll have railings there in case like the dry tires break and they need to get people off.
Or those are just like station.
I don't know. All right, let's. All right, guys. So earlier they were unboxing some of the things that are now over there. It seems to be parts of the ladder that goes up part of the side of the first Dublin version, and so. We saw some construction on that there. Clearly, it's kind of hard to see here because of the capability, but it's obviously ladder parts, and so yeah, it's exciting to see. So that I don't really know why they need much of a ladder there because they have drive tires on the top of the Dublin version, so that it won't stall at the top. But you know what? Probably for maintenance, but. Guys, so you can see Raging Bull going around the turnaround. This is right by hometown fun machine, so you can hear some background noises. But here's Woozer. There's Maxx Force right there. There's the dog tongue. You can see the launch right here. Those are the magnetic brake fins in case we were to roll back. But you can see a little airtime hump right there. So it will indeed launch through the trench. And you can see it's getting right up there next to Woozer. That really low to the ground big turn on Woozer is right up there with it. So yeah, this is exciting. More of those 0G roll supports. You can see it's gonna follow Beth right there. It's gonna go up 0G roll and then Dublin version. So yeah. Right, so here's another little video. You can see just how close it's getting to Wizard, how tall this thing is. So this is right over here in this picnic area, and this is definitely really exciting. This dog tongue is massive. You can see here where the track ends for the coaster. As of right now, at least, it kind of cuts off like right about like there-ish. But we're making really fast progress. Memorial Day weekend can't get here fast enough. All right, guys. Well, here is our Maxx Force update. You've got the dog tongue, that's what they're calling it. You've got that completed. You've got the curve into the brake run completed. Yeah, it looks like they're making room for the queue. It's gonna be, that's where the queue's gonna start right there. And so you can see the foundations for the station. Overall, they're making really fast progress, and I am excited to, be a media advocate for this. Also, they have some of the supports for the 0G roll leading up to this Dublin version right here placed. There's more track in the parking lot. I'll get a video of that later. But yeah, that's it for right now. This dog tongue is absolutely massive. Like, that's Raging Bull's turnaround, which is a pretty big element if you haven't ridden it. And it just makes it look tiny. I am so excited to ride this thing. Also, notice how the brake fins are different than they're shown in the animation. They're like actual brake fins instead of what was shown in the animation. So, overall, yeah. Sadly, Skycheck Tower went down before I got it, and so we will not be getting any aerial shots today. So.